My daughter refused to hug me because my MIL told her I wasn't her real mommy. I stood in the living room, arms outstretched, waiting for my 5-year-old daughter, Lily, to run into them like she always did after preschool. Her backpack dangled from one shoulder, her ponytail loose from a day of play. But instead of her usual giggle and leap, she froze. Her big brown eyes, usually so warm, narrowed with something new, doubt. She clutched her stuffed bunny tighter and stepped back. "You're not my real mommy," she said, her voice small but sharp, like a knife she didn't know she was wielding. My heart stopped. I knelt down, forcing a smile, and asked where she'd heard that. She glanced at the doorway where my mother-in-law, Diane, stood, her lips pursed in that smug way that always made my skin crawl. "Grandma told me," Lily whispered. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. I'd always known Diane didn't like me. From the moment I married her son, Tom, 6 years ago, she'd made it clear I wasn't good enough. Too young, too city, too independent for her small-town, church-going son. But this was a new low. I looked at Diane, expecting her to correct Lily, to laugh it off as a misunderstanding. Instead, she folded her arms and said, "Well, it's true, isn't it? You didn't give birth to her." My stomach twisted. Lily's biological mother, Tom's high school girlfriend, had died when Lily was a baby. I'd been her mom since she was 2, the only mom she'd ever known. I changed her diapers, sang her to sleep, bandaged her scraped knees, and now Diane was ripping that away. I sent Lily to her room with a promise of cookies later, my voice shaking. Then I turned to Diane. "What the hell are you doing?" I demanded. She didn't flinch. "She deserves to know the truth," she said, like she was delivering a sermon. "You can't just pretend you're her mother forever." I wanted to scream, to shake her, but Tom walked in, his work boots heavy on the hardwood. He'd heard enough to know something was wrong. "Mom, what's going on?" he asked, his brow furrowed. Diane started talking before I could, spinning some nonsense about protecting Lily's heritage. I cut her off. "She told Lily I'm not her mom. Tom, she's confusing her, hurting her." Tom's face darkened, but he didn't say anything. He just looked between us, like he was caught in a trap. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lily's words echoed in my head, each one a fresh wound. I'd spent years building a life with her, proving I was enough. I wasn't perfect. I worked too much, sometimes forgot to sign her permission slips, but I loved her fiercely. And now, because of Diane's poison, she doubted me. I stared at the ceiling, wondering how long Diane had been whispering to her, planting seeds behind my back. Was it just today? Or had this been going on for weeks? Months? The thought made me sick. I needed to fix this, to protect Lily, but I didn't know where to start. Diane lived 2 streets away, always hovering, always meddling. She wasn't going anywhere. And Tom, God love him, hated conflict. He'd try to smooth things over, but that wouldn't be enough, not this time. By morning, I was exhausted but resolved. I couldn't let Diane rewrite my daughter's reality. I made Lily's favorite pancakes, hoping to talk to her, to explain in a way she'd understand. But when I called her down, she sat at the table, silent, picking at her food. "Do you love me, sweetie?" I asked, my voice barely steady. She nodded but didn't look up. It was a start, but it wasn't enough. I had to confront Diane again, make her see the damage she'd done. And if she wouldn't listen, I'd find another way to protect my family. I just didn't know what that looked like yet. The days after Lily's refusal felt like walking through fog. Everything familiar but blurred, hard to grasp. I kept replaying her words, the way her small voice carried Diane's venom. My chest ached constantly, a mix of anger and grief I couldn't shake. At work, I stared at my computer, unable to focus, my coworkers' chatter fading into noise. I'd always prided myself on keeping it together, but now I was unraveling. Every time I looked at Lily, I saw that flicker of doubt in her eyes, and it gutted me. I wanted to scoop her up, tell her I was her mom in every way that mattered, but she was pulling away, quiet at dinner, hesitant to hold my hand. It was like Diane had stolen a piece of her from me. Socially, things weren't much better. Our small town thrived on gossip, and Diane was a pillar at church, always volunteering, always talking. I started noticing sidelong glances at the grocery store, whispers at the school pickup line. Had Diane been spreading her version of the truth? I overheard a mom at Lily's preschool ask another, "Isn't it weird how she acts like Lily's hers?" My face burned. But I kept walking, gripping my keys so hard they left marks in my palm. I wasn't just fighting for Lily's trust, I was fighting the court of public opinion, and Diane had a head start. At home, Tom was trying, but it wasn't enough. He'd talked to his mom, he said. But when I pressed him, he admitted she'd brushed him off, saying she was just being honest. Honest, she was tearing our family apart. I snapped at him one night, my voice low so Lily wouldn't hear. "Why can't you stand up to her? She's hurting our daughter." He rubbed his face, exhausted. "She's my mom, okay? She means well." I laughed, bitter. "Means well? She's trying to erase me." He didn't have an answer, just walked out to the garage, leaving me alone with my rage. Psychologically, I was a mess. I'd lie awake, questioning myself. Was I enough for Lily? Maybe Diane was right. Maybe I was pretending, overstepping. But then I'd remember Lily's first word, "Mama," said to me, and the doubt would burn away, replaced by fury. Diane wasn't just attacking me, she was confusing Lily, making her question her own reality. That was unforgivable. I started watching Lily closer, noting how she clung to her bunny more, how she'd ask about her other mommy out of nowhere. Each question was a dagger, but I answered gently, saying her first mom loved her and was watching from heaven. I didn't know if it helped, but I couldn't let Diane's narrative win. I tried talking to Diane again, showing up at her house unannounced. She opened the door, her face tightening. "I'm not apologizing," she said before I could speak. I laid into her, voice shaking, about the damage she was doing. She just stared, unmoved. "Lily needs to know her roots," she said, like I was the villain. I left, slamming the door, my hands trembling. That's when I knew reasoning with her was pointless. She wasn't going to stop. If I wanted to protect Lily, I had to fight smarter. I started thinking about what I could do, talk to Lily's teacher, maybe a counselor, someone who could help her process this. I wasn't just fighting for my place in her life anymore. I was fighting for her stability, her sense of safety. And I'd be damned if I let Diane take that from her. Sorry, I couldn't just sit back and let Diane's words fester in Lily's mind. I needed answers, proof of what she'd been saying and how far she'd gone. The first step was talking to someone who saw Lily outside our home. I scheduled a meeting with her preschool teacher, Ms. Carter, a kind woman who'd always seemed observant, sitting in her colorful classroom, surrounded by tiny chairs and crayon drawings. I explained what happened, Lily's refusal to hug me, Diane's claim that I wasn't her real mommy. Ms. Carter frowned, leaning forward. "Lily's been quieter lately," she said. "Last week, she told a friend her grandma said she has a mom in heaven. I thought it was just a child processing. But now..." Her voice trailed off, and my stomach sank. Diane's influence was spreading. Miss Carter suggested a child counselor, someone trained to help Lily navigate her confusion. I nodded, grateful, but my mind was already racing. How long had Diane been planting these ideas? I needed to know what else she'd said, especially when I wasn't around. I started paying closer attention to Lily's time with her. When I picked her up from Diane's house after work, I asked casual questions. "What did you and Grandma talk about today?" Lily shrugged, saying, "Grandma showed me pictures of my other mommy." My blood ran cold. Diane was using photos to drive her point home, turning a memory into a weapon. I decided to dig deeper. One evening, while Tom was at a late shift, I went through Lily's backpack after she was asleep. Tucked inside a side pocket was a small photo album I'd never seen. It was old, the edges worn, filled with pictures of Lily's biological mom, smiling at a high school dance, holding a newborn Lily. On the inside cover, in Diane's neat handwriting, was a note. "To Lily, from your real family." My hands shook as I closed it. This wasn't just a conversation. Diane was curating a narrative, giving Lily physical proof to question me. I hid the album in my dresser, unsure if I should confront her or show Tom first. Either way, it was evidence. I also started talking to other parents, cautiously. At a school event, I struck up a conversation with a mom who knew Diane from church. I mentioned Lily's confusion, keeping my tone light. The mom hesitated, then said, "Diane's been talking about you at book club. Says it's unfair you took over as Lily's mom." My jaw tightened. So Diane was campaigning against me, framing me as an intruder. I thanked the mom and walked away, my mind spinning. This wasn't just personal, it was calculated. I booked an appointment with a child counselor, Dr. Ellis, who specialized in blended families. In our first meeting, without Lily, I poured out everything: Diane's words, the album, the town gossip. Dr. Ellis listened, then said, "Lily's at an age where she's forming her sense of identity. If Diane's undermining you, it could affect her trust long term." She suggested bringing Lily in to talk, but also warned me to set boundaries with Diane. "You'll need to limit her access," she said. The idea terrified me. Tom would hate it, and Diane would explode, but I knew she was right. I left the office feeling both validated and overwhelmed. I had evidence, allies, a plan. But the deeper I dug, the uglier it got. Diane wasn't just meddling, she was trying to rewrite our family. I had to stop her, but I wasn't sure how much fight I had left. The truth hit me like a freight train, and it wasn't just Diane's words, it was her obsession. I'd gathered enough to see her plan. She wasn't just undermining me, she was trying to erase me from Lily's life entirely. The album, the gossip, the constant whispers about Lily's real mom weren't random. Diane was grieving her son's first love, Lily's biological mother, and in her twisted mind, I was the interloper stealing her legacy. I found more evidence in a box at Diane's house, letters she'd written to Lily, meant for when she was older, calling her first mom the only one who truly loved you. I'd snuck in while she was at church, my heart pounding. But I needed to know. Those letters confirmed it. Diane had been planning this for years. I showed Tom everything: the album, the letters, even screenshots of texts from a church friend confirming Diane's smear campaign. We sat at the kitchen table, the air heavy. "She's out of control," I said, my voice steady despite the tears. Tom stared at the letters, his jaw tight. For once, he didn't defend her. "I didn't know it was this bad," he admitted. He looked broken, caught between his mom and his family. I pushed harder. "We need to cut her off. Tom, for Lily?" He nodded, slow, like it pained him. We agreed. No more unsupervised visits, no more sleepovers at Grandma's. Lily's stability came first. Confronting Diane was inevitable. We went together, Tom and I, to her house. She opened the door, her face souring when she saw us. I laid it all out: the damage to Lily, the letters, her campaign to alienate me. "You're done manipulating our daughter," I said, my voice cold. Diane's eyes flashed. "You'll never be her mother," she spat. Tom stepped in, his voice low. "Mom, stop. You're hurting Lily." For the first time, she faltered, her defiance cracking. But she didn't apologize. She just turned away, shutting the door. It wasn't closure, but it was a line drawn. Lily started seeing Dr. Ellis, the counselor. In sessions, she drew pictures of her two mommies, one in heaven, one here. It hurt, but Dr. Ellis said it was progress. Lily was processing, not rejecting me. At home, I focused on rebuilding trust. We baked cookies, read her favorite books, and one night, she crawled into my lap, whispering, "I love you, Mommy." My heart cracked open, relief flooding in. But the scars were there. Lily was healing, but Diane's words had left marks. Now, I'm at a crossroads. Diane's still out there, 2 streets away, probably seething. Part of me wants to expose her, tell the whole town what she did, let her feel the shame she tried to pin on me. Justice would feel good, burn bright. But another part wonders if it's worth it. Lily's starting to smile again. And maybe that's enough. I could let Diane stew in her bitterness, keep my family close, and move on. Or maybe I'm fooling myself, and she'll come back, more vicious than before. What would you do if someone tried to tear your family apart? Would you fight, forgive, or walk away?